Nothing left, no hope, you're feeling worthless, like a loser. There came a moment where actually I overdosed. And that was just done in a spur of a moment. That was the moment when I began on a quest to find answers.
You're hypervigilant, you can't switch your brain off. The thoughts are whirring around like a tornado. Extreme pain. Your body and your brain are not letting you be still.
No.
In fact, probably the more you try, the worse it gets.
The constant anxious thoughts, they would not leave me alone.
It's getting gradually a lot worse.
Yes.
It's that 10 years. You're starting to really lose yourself, getting more and more depressed.
Yes.
You've got kids, you've got a life, you've got a job, but you're feeling completely lost within yourself.
You know, Ella, the irony is that I looked complete from the outside, but deep down, I was falling apart.
Hi, and welcome to The New Mind. Now, before we go into today's episode, I just want to ask you a big favour. Please subscribe because it really supports the channel to grow and it allows me to continue to get amazing guests and to share these incredible life stories with you. The truth is, I learn something from every single guest and I know you will too. So hit that subscribe button and make me very, very happy. Thank you so much for supporting me. I appreciate you all. Now enjoy the episode. Good afternoon, Rajni. Welcome to the show. You've got a pretty hefty following, but for those that don't know who you are, before we start, I just want to let them know what you do, and then we'll go into the story. So you're a certified nutritionist and a fitness coach,
Yes.
as well as a mother, as well as being exceptionally beautiful. And, you know, that's got to be included. But also the story behind where you are today, for me, is fascinating just because as a woman, I find these subjects fascinating, but also I think the story is really of determination and discipline. And I think for anyone that's going through anything in life where they feel a bit lost, they feel a bit confused, perhaps feeling like there's nowhere to turn, hopefully they're going to draw inspiration from you today. So I always say, and it's best to do this for every guest, I think, is to go back as far as you feel comfortable to within your story. Key points, though, before you start, is that you sort of struggled very much with PCOS and your mental health, and it got to quite a serious point. And on its own, that's not as spectacular as when you tell the story, but it's really important for those people that are listening to know that there's a lot of depth to the story, and a lot of vulnerability as well. So I really advise everyone to sort of keep an open mind and join us on the journey, because that's what it's going to be today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Ella.
No,
it really
it's a
means
pleasure.
a lot.
You've spoken about your story a few times, but I think this is the first time that you're speaking about it in such depth. Is that fair?
It is actually.
Yeah. So for the women that are already following you and for the new women that find you, I think this is a really brave move, because it is, like I said, there's a lot of depth to some of the parts of your story that you've not gone into fully before. And I want to remind people that there's probably going to be bits that they relate to. And it's important to stay introspective and reflective whilst listening.
No, absolutely, because I think my intention to be here is actually to speak honestly and to share that parts of my story that my older version would hesitate to share, that maybe being as a woman or as a mum. But I think it's time to share that openly. Even if I can help even one person out there, I think that would be worth it.
Yeah, and I admire that, because I think it's a powerful energy to share. The energy of authenticity, vulnerability is really important. And the more people that do it, I think the closer that we feel to each other, actually, that connection just gets stronger, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So let's go all the way back to the sort of first awareness that you had, I guess, that you were struggling with your mind, with your body. Where did that start for you?
Oh, that's an interesting question. That probably would be when I came over to the UK. I think that was a turning point in terms of me finding myself again.
Yeah.
Just to let you and my audience know that I am born and brought up in India and have had the best childhood ever. But coming over to the UK, got married, and all my family members back home. So I think that was a point where, for me, I think I probably will have to tell you a little bit about my younger self.
Yes.
It's quite important because everything is rooted from there. So my childhood, I've had the best support system. I'm the fourth daughter to my parents, and I've got a younger brother. So the childhood has been amazing. My parents have been supportive, and when I came over, the only thing as a child, as far as I remember, I think I was a very self-aware child. I was very creative. I think there's never been one moment where my parents have ever expressed that I'm not good enough or I need to change myself. So I was a free-minded sort of, childhood. But when I got married, came over, I think that was a point where you've had such a strong support system, and then you just feel like, oh my God, like now I'm left on my own to find myself, to figure out things. It was actually, but I didn't realize at that time.
How old were you?
21.
21. I mean, you've come all the way from India to a completely foreign place.
Yes.
With none of that support system. You must have felt that viscerally. You must have felt that in your nervous system.
I did. I was feeling that in my bones. I didn't even know which turn is going to take me to my home, like my house. So I had to start. And also I think it's very important that back home I've had a very independent childhood, and my life, I've been very independent, best of education, best of upbringing. And when you've had all that and being so strong-minded, introvert, but always in a high spirit and thriving child. But then when you come over and then you have to start all over again, and you're still trying to, stay strong. And I think it's quite important to mention here that when you get married, I think it's a whole different story starts.
Yeah.
You're trying to be someone that, what people expect you to be. You try to be a certain way. You try to look a certain way. You try to talk a certain way. And then the motherhood changes you even completely, So I think in that journey, I was losing myself, and I did suffer with postpartum depression, but I did not know at that time. I only knew after all the health issues, which are probably going to go through that. So that journey that started from motherhood, it was like a decline in terms of my physical health, in terms of my mental health. And then in my 30s, as we speak of PCOS, I was never diagnosed with PCOS until after my second child.
Wow.
So, I've suffered with adult acne throughout my adult. I think it started from the age of 15. So I've never had a clear skin.
Which no one would believe now looking at you.
Oh, no, never. I have suffered with excessive hair growth, which really knocks your confidence down in a whole different way.
Yeah.
And then most importantly, the emotional baggage, because you're going through such hormone imbalances in your body, which now we're speaking about it, but no one knew about that. And I still remember when I went because my periods were never regular. Right. So I've always had irregular missed periods. So, and it was always thought that it's a woman thing. It's okay.
Yeah, they do say that. It's not how it's supposed to be.
And for me as well, I was like, okay, maybe. But deep down, I had that fear of this fertility issue because I had months of missed periods. And then I went to my GP, and again, he just said, okay, we're going to put you on a pill. And being on the pill for 1 week, my anxiety, I just felt like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And then I stopped taking the medicine. And then after my second child, I had an ultrasound done, and that's where the diagnosis come. But still, nothing was spoken about. But then I was diagnosed with osteopenia, which is like your bone density starts decreasing at the age of 32. And shockingly, my GP, the statement that he made was, oh, your bones are an age of 50-year-old woman at 32. And I was like, what? And again, you're not thinking, but I think it stays with you.
Yeah, it does.
And
it's scary.
It was. I'm like, oh, really? And then after that, I suffered with herniated disc in my lower back, in my neck. The pain from, because of my herniated discs, again, I was thrown from pillar to post, from consultant to consultant. But that pain in the neck triggered vertigo. So I suffered with vertigo for 3 years.
Oh, that's awful.
Could not drive. The moment I would wake up, get out of my bed, the world would be spinning around me. And so all these things was really taking me to the darkest phase of my life, you know.
And let's not forget, because this is really important to remind people, up until this point, 21, come to this country, you had a perfect life.
Yes, perfect life.
And then come here, have to navigate being a new person in a new country, not knowing where you're going, what you're doing, having to deal with a different culture and different language and all of these things. Then get married and you have to learn how to be the wife, and then you have to learn how to be the mother, and then you find out you've got PCOS, and then you're in extreme pain, and then with vertigo, which I know from having clients that have had vertigo, you just feel like you're not grounded, the world is spinning, as you say, you feel completely dysregulated, then the anxiety and the emotions are through the roof, and that few years, that 10 years, you were just going more and more downhill.
Yes.
And feeling more and more out of control.
Yes, absolutely. And the worst thing was the brain fog. There was no mental clarity.
No.
The more I was thinking, the more anxious I was becoming, and the overthinking. Ella, I tell you, my brain was not stopping. It was like a train of distorted thoughts while driving, while eating, while cooking, but I was chasing mindfulness. I was really chasing, because as I said, I was always a self-aware person. I knew what was happening, but I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing, because you're expecting, okay, things would just fix itself, but they don't. And so it was the constant anxious thoughts. They would not leave me alone.
And so you're now in a state of hypervigilance, as well as being in extreme pain. You're hypervigilant. You can't switch your brain off. The thoughts are whirring around like a tornado. You're trying to be mindful, trying to practice stillness, but there's just no chance, because your body and your brain are not letting you be still.
No.
In fact, probably the more you try, the worse it gets. You're probably not getting a lot of medical assistance as well, because like you say, they wanted you to go on the pill, but the pill raised the anxiety.
Yes.
So in terms of the support that you receive, like you say, as a woman, it's like, well, it's just what it's like for some women, they just have to deal with it, kind of thing. Get yourself on the pill, crack on, see you soon. But actually, if you don't get on well with the pill, or even if you don't want to take the pill, if you want to get to the root cause,
Absolutely,
that's not always a suitable option. So in this 10 to 12 years you're experiencing
yes. So
this?
I think I would say probably from my 30 to 39 was my worst time, especially from 34 onwards.
So it's getting gradually a lot worse.
Yes.
And you're starting to really lose yourself, getting more and more depressed.
Yes.
You've got kids.
Yes.
You've got a life, you've got a job, but you're feeling completely lost within yourself.
You know, Ella, the irony is that I looked complete from the outside.
Yeah.
And also some part of me that I was trying to put the mask out.
Yes.
I was trying to wear this mask of happy me, but deep down I was falling apart. And it was that the constant, I think, you trying to be everything for everyone. You don't realize that moment comes when you've got nothing left for yourself. And I was recognizing that, but again, I did not know what to do at that point. And there came a moment where the turmoil inside, you know, that the fight inside, I think, like, you know, when you start performing from an empty cup, where you've probably heard it so many times, but it really, what I felt is that it really means that when there's nothing left, no hope, you're feeling worthless, you're feeling like a loser, there came a moment where actually I overdosed.
Aww.
And that was just done in a spur of a moment. Sorry.
No, it's okay. There's tissues right next to you if you need them. Take
No,
time.
it's because it's the first time I'm opening up.
Yeah.
And I think it's important because especially in our South Asian community, I think we don't openly talk about these things. And I think it took me a lot of courage and resilience to come to this point that there is no shame in it. It's just the emotions.
Yes.
these are just the emotions, and you got to recognize these emotions. And that moment when I overdosed, that one night in the hospital, that changed everything. You know, my children, I think I'm talking about 2019, not long ago.
So it's really still quite fresh.
Yes. So 2019, a broken version of me, in a spur of a moment. It's not that, you know, I'm having the fight was just inside me. But yes, there was a lot of pressure. I think it's the expectations, it's the society, how it conditions us. It's a lot of factors that goes into it that tries to define who you're not. And I think there comes a moment when you've just had enough.
Yeah.
And in that spur of a moment, I overdosed. You know, I was taken to hospital, and that night, you know, I woke up in the morning, and that moment was the turning point in my life. I said, I was a strong-minded person. And again, it would take me back to my younger self, who was none of that.
Yeah.
And that was a turning point where I was like, oh my God, what was I even doing? What would my children would have thought about me? And I was never a coward like this. And that was the moment when I began on a quest to find answers. And I think there is a very strange grace when when you reach that rock bottom. Because when you're down there, you know, you stop performing, but you start listening. You know, you cut out all the noises and everything. And I only could just hear one voice that was telling me, you were meant for more. You were born for more. But I did not know what that more was, what that really meant. And I left it to the universe. But I really wanted to change. I said, no, it's not acceptable. Not more than for anybody else, but for me, because this one life is precious, you know. The thing that I did, you know, it really made me realize that life is so precious and so beautiful. And that's where I went on a quest, finding my answers. And there comes a moment, you know, I was going to turn 40, and I was having a conversation. Very vividly, I remember. I'm having this conversation with my husband, and he turns 42 months prior to my birthday. And he speaks to me just a few days before my birthday. How do you feel? Do you feel achieved? You know, we've built a good life. We've got 2 beautiful children. And he was going through all that. And I was not listening, none of that. I just froze the moment he said, how do you feel? And that was my true calling, I think, that came, that I don't feel none of that. Yes, I'm a mom of 2 beautiful children. I'm doing everything, but I don't feel none of what he was saying.
You don't feel connected to it.
Because I did not feel, because I just thought, but I was meant for more. My life was supposed to be meant for more. I don't regret what, you know, I absolutely appreciate. But, you know, I don't, yes, money's there, life is there, everything else there, but my purpose is not there.
Yes.
You know, I still have to find my purpose, my purpose of waking up, you know, to do more. And that's where it started, on a quest of finding, okay, you know, I was in a lot of pain at that time. But then I was never on social media. And then I happened to be on a social media because I was trying to, you know, find some answers to sciatica pain, because I've suffered with sciatica pain, and then my neck pain, and a lot of chronic pain, honestly, years of chronic pain. And then I happened to watch a beautiful transformation of a South Asian woman from back home from India. And I watched it and I was like, oh, wow. You know, that gave me a bit of hope. And then I was okay. Then a couple of times, I think it's just how Instagram works. A couple of more feeds come on my Instagram, another transformation of another South Asian woman. And I was like, wow, if they can transform their life, what is it that's holding me back? And that's where I signed up, this 12 weeks of transformation, where I had to prep and compete like you do in a bodybuilding, but it was all online. So that moment, I was like, okay, I have to give my 100% into it, because I wanted to at least be in top 50 out of thousands of, people online. It was, I think, about 42,000 or something.
Wow.
So like, okay, I need to be top 50. And that was the first time ever I gave myself a goal, a personal goal.
So up until this point, because life, if we to pause that there, you said something off camera earlier, which I think is really important to bring into this. When you were going into that lowest state, there's a moment where it could be a brief second, but you want to take your life.
Yes.
Because the pain, physical, emotional, mental, is too much, and it clouds that clarity of judgment. And you have that moment, and within that space of time, you're probably thinking, I want to go back to the girl I was.
Yes.
I want to be who I was before.
Yes.
And we talked about this off camera, didn't we? That actually we can never go back. It's about and this is the transformation. We transform, we move forward. Yes. We have to accept where we're at. Acceptance is key, isn't it? Because we can't go back. Time just doesn't work that way.
Yes.
But we have to accept where we're at. I'm in pain.
Yes.
I feel emotionally disconnected. I feel like there was supposed to be something else I was doing with my life. I don't know what my purpose is. And I feel like I'm a loser. That's the words you used off camera earlier. And then you go to the lowest of the lowest space, and that voice inside your head. And I always refer to the different parts of us that always exist all the time. There'll be the inner critic, the inner bully. There'll be the powerful higher self. There'll be the wiser self. There'll be the witness. All of these parts are there. And slowly but surely, this higher self starts to go, I'm actually meant for more. And you find yourself seeing these women who have done exactly what you want to achieve, and they inspire you.
100%.
You draw strength from that, and you somehow find a system that enables you to really focus and be disciplined. So you start this transformation out of 42,000 women.
Yes.
What happens next?
So I don't know. I think it was the why was so strong at that time, and it just inspired me so much. I said, okay, forget about everything else. Forget about whatever's happening in my life. Let me just give it a try. At least, I think I'm gonna mention one thing: the drive, the hunger, that the strong hunger was coming from was that when I was having that conversation with my husband, the realization that I had was that if there was no tomorrow, would I be proud of myself today?
Yes, that's a very powerful point.
And I think that answer was enough for me to remind that, you know what, there is more. There is so much more in life. I don't know what it is, but I was meant for more. And then, like how the universe, as I said, that my faith in the universe, the power, the almighty power, the faith was not always there, but it took me time to build that trust, the faith. Then, I work in the GP practice as well as a practice manager. So there came, I think it was a staff member from a care home. And we were just having a talk, just a conversation. And she said, oh, there are two types of patients, residents in any care home. One, they are quite satisfied. They're quite content with their life, and they're just enjoying their whatever, life they have. And there are other kind of people that because they've not lived their life, they're just full of frustration.
Bitter.
They're bitter. And that made me realize that, oh my God, if I have to go through that moment in my life, I want to be proud of myself.
Yeah.
And I think that thought of me being proud of myself and making my younger self proud,
yes,
that was my drive.
Yeah.
Even people ask me, what keeps you motivated? It is my younger self. And I think through my journey, I probably will come to that it's me falling in love with my younger self. I think she's become my first love. And that is the drive that keeps me pushing forward.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back to what happens is that I put my effort into those, transformation that I participated. It started with because I live in a joint family. So my life has always been very hectic. Children, you're a homemaker, you go to the job. So that competition required me to meal prep. So I had to quantify my food, measure my food, pre-cook my food, plan 6 times a week training, proper weight training.
And you're still in pain at this point.
Yes, but I gradually started. So my coach actually, we started with subtle sort of weight training. Because this is what people think, that when you're going through chronic pain, which I thought that you don't have to move your body. You take rest. No, the rest was making it worse for me.
Yeah.
So when I started moving my body, for sciatica pain, my main goal was to be able to do deep squats. So that's how it started.
Yeah.
Building small every single day.
Yeah.
And then I worked really, really hard. But that mindfulness that I was talking about earlier, that I was chasing mindfulness, it was because I was keeping my mind so occupied. I was so occupied thinking the next move that, okay, I have to manage my time this way because I've already got a busy schedule, how I'm going to, fit in the rest of the things, which are my personal goals, And just in the process of managing my time, my anxious thoughts were fading away.
Yeah.
Because I was so much driven by what next I have to do.
Yeah.
So they were all productive and constructive thoughts.
Yes.
So that's where, while driving, as I said, that I was constantly overthinking about people, about encounters, about whatever encounters we have, right? Negative, positive, whatever. But I think at that time, the dark, when I felt lost, I think you focus more on the negative thoughts. Your mindset become more of negative sort of thing. But that transition was happening, that I was not thinking about any but the triggers. I was thinking more of what was giving me more happiness.
Because one of the things that I always say to people is when they get into those negative loops, there's two reasons why. One is that eventually it becomes a habit and automatic, but it starts off that way because the brain is primarily wired more negatively to keep you alive. So it goes to the negative first because the negative is, right, survival.
Yes.
Then we build from survival. So if we fall into a negative thought loop, there's a couple of reasons why. One, it could be that life circumstances get on top of us. In your case, I feel like that's what happened. Yes. And then you start to question and then you start to focus because you're trying to fix it.
Yes.
But if you're looking in the wrong ways to fix something and you're not getting the results that you desire, you then become more negative. It's like it goes into a sort of hamster's wheel, doesn't it, of negativity. Yes. So what I feel like you're saying is that by having that system, that structure, that's one step at a time,
yes,
focusing on the next step,
yes,
you're always actually now thinking about the future, or at least the present moment. I'm driving to the gym,
yes,
or I'm prepping my food. There's always that moment of groundedness.
That all narrowed down to I need to focus on today.
Yeah.
Where my thoughts were 100 miles ahead.
Yeah.
I think it was all bringing my focus on what needs doing right now.
Yeah.
That control, because if I lag behind, I'm gonna spend most of my time catching up.
Yes, and you don't want that.
Yeah,
you want to be ahead because you want to win.
So that really helped me, bring all my focus and energy on what I need to be doing right now.
Yeah.
And that's what taught me my time management.
Yeah.
That taught me, that laying healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
Saying no when I need to.
Yeah.
So a lot of things, But yes, those first 3 months changed everything. I came top 50. That gave me a whole different kick and confidence.
I bet.
My body looked amazing that I never thought that it would. And honestly, when you look good, you feel good.
Yes.
It gives you a whole different confidence.
It does. It does.
My skin, it was glowing from within, just within 3 months. And
because it was very heavily nutrition based, wasn't it?
Yes, it's proper and simplified nutrition, very simple food. And then my mind, it was just going into a whole different positive direction. And that's where everything, began, and it's still continuing.
So, I mean, this is so from the minute that you took that overdose to the moment that you become the 50th place position on this competition, how long is that process all in all?
2019 was the time when I overdosed.
Yeah.
And from that, there was a bit of, again, that shame period for me. But then again, I'm trying to just gather myself up again and trying to, tell myself, okay, finding answers. So 2020, that COVID happened.
Of course.
And that's where I started with home workouts. Me and my husband, we started to train together. And then that was a point where, I started practicing yoga for my pain, for my chronic pain. So all 2020 went into that. And so that was laying maybe a small foundation.
Yeah.
2020, because I was on that journey of, I want to fix myself. And I was letting go of that control of the things that I could not control. And
expectation.
and you know, the thing that you mentioned, acceptance.
Yeah.
I had to accept myself
Yeah.
with my flaws, with my strengths, brutally honest with myself.
Yeah.
That, okay, it's not about anybody else. It's not about pleasing anybody else. It's about me,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm going to do that for myself. And that's where the 2020 was the laying foundation. And 2021, May, I started that transformation.
Wow. So really a very short time. And they do say that for a lot of people, including me actually, that point of not wanting to be here is where the transformation begins. I'm interested because of the PCOS and the inflammation that was clearly in your body, this chronic pain issue that you had. What was your diet like before you started your transformation process, the competition?
Yes. I was never into any junk food or anything, but
No.
it was a very high carb diet.
Right.
And for PCOS, the high carb diet is where the insulin resistance
Yes.
comes in.
That's right.
And I thought that I was eating all fine, but I think because the real nutrients were not there, enough vegetables were not there, protein was. Being a non-vegetarian, I thought I was taking enough protein,
Yeah.
but it wasn't the case. It was a very high carb diet.
Interesting, because I think the reason I asked that question is because there's a lot of women that have got hormonal issues, perhaps not PCOS, but, you know, could be perimenopause.
Yes.
It could be just that they're.
Funny enough, I am navigating perimenopause
Of course,
now.
I was going to say.
But I'm so feeling blessed that if I hadn't started that journey,
Yeah.
I don't think so that I wouldn't be in a place where now I'm managing those symptoms really well.
Me too, because I
Yeah.
said to you off camera, I'm 47, I'm not on any HRT or anything like that. And it's mainly really just, I think I've got a very busy lifestyle, a bit like you, and we like the system of being busy, don't we? Our brains need that. We're those types of people where the discipline, the busyness, the purpose, it really makes a difference. But then I think as well, I don't eat a lot of junk. I'm probably nowhere near as clean as you are in eating, but I don't eat a lot of junk. I don't eat takeaways really. I don't have anything that's, mostly everything is homemade, all that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying, because there are some women out there that are going through menopause, perimenopause, PCOS that do eat very well. And I don't want this to feel like, well, if you just ate a bit better, it'd all be fine. Because as I know, doing this job and working in this clinic and doing all the things I do, and as you know, it's holistic.
It's a
the
holistic
food is
approach.
a part of it.
Yes, absolutely.
And you've mentioned something quite interesting as well about the mindfulness and the stillness, because I know I'm someone that struggles with stillness. It might be a trauma response. It might just be a personality thing. It might be the fact that I've got this ADHD diagnosis. Who knows? But I don't do stillness very well.
Yeah.
However, what I do know is I love a walking mindfulness where you're in motion.
Yes.
And your brain just naturally slows down and starts to appreciate what's going on in front of you. And the same with exercise.
Yes.
Although it's been a while since I've trained properly, I've always found that connection through exercise. And I think if you've got the combination of food, exercise, supplementation, if needed, it shouldn't be needed all the time if you've got good nutrition. You know, you're supported, you've got good connections with people around you, you've got your purpose. I think that is so healing, because, you know, this is an internal job.
100. And I would like to add to that stress.
Yeah.
Because I was constantly on that alert, the stress.
Yeah.
You know, my cortisol levels were always high.
Yeah.
And if I tell you, I used to have panic attacks. When washing up dishes, I have broken a lot of plates. Because one is I had a shoulder impingement, and second was the panic, you know, you just feel like your heart's going to jump out of your chest any moment. So stress and cortisol levels, it really makes this journey even worse, because you're already going through hormone imbalances.
Yeah.
And that fluctuations, you know, the stress even makes it worse.
Yeah.
So mindfulness I think is a bigger thing. Yes, nutrition, fitness, but nutrition and especially fitness, weight training or body weight training, whatever works for you, that really helps you, you know, get that stillness, you know, where you can really connect with your body.
That's right.
And that is actually been helping me. The body weight training, especially, I would say, yes, weight training, I've been doing it, but especially body weight training, because you have no choice but to still your mind.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to lose your balance.
That's right.
And I have fallen in love with that, because where I could not, you know, still my monkey mind.
Yeah.
Now I love that time period where I'm just connecting with myself.
Yeah.
And
And because it's calisthenics,
Yes,
isn't
calisthenics,
it?
yes.
That you do. And I've seen some of the videos, and I'm always impressed by it, because I have to say that's the one thing that I probably lack confidence with, is connecting to the body.
Yes.
And I think, again, it's a practice.
It's a practice.
Yeah.
And, I really would like to probably emphasize that, yes, you meet a lot of your failures,
Yeah.
but that is what we dread, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to try new things because we have this fear of failure.
Yeah.
And I carried it for such a long time, such a long time. But when you are facing that kind of failure where your body is not able to do a certain move because you're just a beginner, but that is taught me that it's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
So I'm now so okay with my failures, where I used to be always uptight. Perfect. Everything has to be perfect.
Yes.
Chasing perfectionism, trying to control everything. I think that real transition has been happening in the last, especially 2 years, where, you are chasing your higher self.
Yes.
And that comes with time, but only when you're willing to accept yourself with whatever, however you are, your failures, your weaknesses. I hope I make sense here.
No, it does. And actually what I'm hearing through that is you're letting go of the judgment.
Absolutely.
Of self and from
Yes.
others.
And the most was coming from myself.
It always is.
But now it's no more embarrassment, because now it's more of I'm learning.
Yeah.
I don't care what people think of me, but I'm learning.
How did you get past that I don't care what people think? Because
my
that's
God,
a big
that's
one.
funny. I think the only thing that has taught me, if I look back, was me trying to learn to do a handstand in a busy gym.
Yes.
Where I couldn't even do a roly-poly. My body is stiff. And I'm going to really actually mention my coach's name here. His name is Miles Ennan. I don't know him in the gym, and I saw him doing a handstand, and I went up to him a couple of times, and then one day I went up to him and said, I want to learn that. But I couldn't do anything because my body is as stiff. It doesn't matter how strong you can lift, but your body weight training is a whole different game. It's humbling. The moment you try, it's a big failure first. But I chose to do it because I did not have any other option but to learn in the gym, because he agreed to teach me to do it, to be able to do a handstand.
But let's rewind, because even that moment, I'm just thinking of the listeners. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. They are way before where you were in the gym.
Yes.
So some of them may never have even stepped foot in a gym, because I know, and I used to have this and still do on occasion, the gym anxiety thing, where you feel like
yes, I've been there.
Oh, it's awful. So some of them will never have even considered going to a gym because they're so lacking in confidence.
Yes.
So I'm thinking about them listening to you,
Yes.
going over to a man who's doing a handstand and saying, I want to do that.
Yes.
Was there anxiety in you approaching him?
Not at that point, because I think I've already had become very confident with weight training, but I understand where you're coming from,
Yeah.
and I've been there. When I had started doing weight training, and that was in 2020, when I think the gyms were open for a bit, and then
That's right.
Yeah. So that time I was like, okay, and I had learned a lot about that. Okay, strength training is good for women. You should be doing it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have a toned body. That's the kind of thoughts I'm going through. And it was intimidating.
Yeah.
To forget about going into that men's section,
Oh,
but
yeah.
even picking up the dumbbells. It was daunting.
Yeah.
It was very, but I think, again, it's all majority of the things is in your head. People are not thinking, they're not, especially in the gym, people don't care what you're doing.
No, most of them are too
because
focused on
they're so
themselves.
focused on you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all you have to tell yourself is, giving yourself a big pat on your back that you're at least starting out.
Yeah.
But most of the people like me, with my older version, I would never start because I want to figure everything out before.
It's that, and this is why I brought it up really, because I know because I was there once myself, and I know because I speak to women a lot. Yeah, but I could never go to the weight section where the blokes, so you've got 5 men there that definitely know what they're doing. And you're a small woman who's never gone into a gym, and you've got to go over to the free weight section.
Yes.
Are you kidding? I mean, I've done that, and it is horrible.
Yes.
That first few times that you do it, you just feel like they're going to laugh at you, or
Yes.
they're going to go, oh, there's the newbie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
she has no idea what
Yeah.
she's doing. And then when someone tries to help you, you're just like, oh my God, please
yes.
let me disappear.
Yes.
Because they clearly see that I'm rubbish and I'm an idiot. And all of that goes on in our heads. That's horrible, by the way, isn't it? The way we
Yeah.
speak to ourselves. But I'm only saying it because I've been there.
But I really want to remind whosoever is listening that I've been there. And you know, the difference is only just go and do it.
You've got to.
Or you just hold yourself back.
Yeah.
But when you start doing it and just forget about what people are thinking. And you know what? The first stage is always learning, right?
Yeah.
Even if you go in a class, you know, where you probably want to pursue further education.
Yeah.
The first day is always...
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
But you have to go past that. And honestly, in the gym, like now people call me, oh, she's a pro. But I'm so focused that I would appreciate if some newbie is there. I always look at, oh, wow, that woman, you know what? She's focusing on her health. So it's all most of the time is on her head. And even if people do, who cares? Because at the end of the day, you are trying to do something good for yourself.
Yeah.
And that is what people need to understand. Please don't care about, and I've done it most 40 years of my life. I have been really thinking about what people would think.
Yeah.
And that has only been shrinking me.
Yeah.
Shrinking my soul. But the moment, because if I'm okay with my mistakes, I don't care what people think because I'm going to learn, because if I don't make mistakes, how would I learn?
Yes.
But before I used to think that every mistake is a failure, but now I think every failure is a feedback.
That's right.
That's where when I was trying to learn calisthenics in the gym, a lot of failures. In the 2 hours of a session, you would meet 90 times of the failure and 1 time of a little success.
Yes.
And that is where it has been conditioning my mind that, okay, if that is making me stronger, but with a lot of hard work, it's only making me stronger in other facets of my life where I can lead stronger.
Yes. And actually, you said something earlier, and I think there's 2 things that I've just taken from that. One is the who cares.
Yes.
We have to say that more, because the reality is most people don't.
Yes.
But the ones that are judging you are only judging you anyway because they're projecting a part of themselves.
Yes.
It's not about you, it's about them.
100%.
And if ever that you've been in the gym, and some people have experienced this, and you've noticed someone looking at you, they're either looking at you because they admire you, or they're looking at you because they judge you. If they're judging you, it's a projection of them. And if they admire you, let yourself absorb that,
Yes.
because that's a nice feeling.
I would like to give a little example of me here. You know, when I'm gonna talk about, take you where I was doing those kicking up on the wall. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was so determined to do it because I wanted to learn it. The hunger was there. The one point of me, one night, I still remember that night, because I only had the option to learn in the gym because my coach is going to be there, or I wouldn't have no other option, maybe go somewhere else. And I didn't have no time or anything. I was so desperate to learn. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that. I don't care what people would think. The first day was daunting because I'm looking stupid. I was absolutely looking stupid because my body doesn't have that flexibility, and you're trying to, you know, be upside down on your body. But now, you know, because I did not give up, the first benefit that I actually made was the focus.
Yeah.
Now when I've been practicing to do a handstand for 2 years now. I'm nearly there now. But imagine there's so many falls, and people are training behind me just about this much of distance.
So you're falling into them.
I'm falling into them. I'm falling over. I am doing some embarrassing things. I don't know. Maybe I looked embarrassed. Like, you know, I don't know. But people must be thinking what she's doing. But it only helped me bring my focus on to what is important to me.
Yeah.
What they're thinking is not important to me. My real, you know, goal is to do better than yesterday. Something that makes me proud of myself.
Yeah.
And also now the same people in the gym, they come to me that, you know what, we watched your journey and you are doing incredible. You inspire us.
Aww.
Honestly, but the journey, they watched that journey.
Yeah.
Imagine if I hadn't started that journey thinking, or what people would think, I'm going to look stupid. And this is what I used to think, honestly, Ella.
Yeah.
But now the same person, I'm doing everything. I'm looking cool now. I'm looking my, you know, strongest version. People can see. There are women come to me that we've seen your journey from 5 years, 4 years, you look incredible, you're doing incredible. It just makes me so proud of myself.
Yeah.
But again, I had that choice, either not to do it
Yes.
or just to do it.
And this is a woman, let's not forget, because this has gone into, you know, the transformation of self. This is a woman that had given up on herself.
Yes.
This is a woman, for even if it was a brief moment, that thought her life
Yes.
wasn't worth anything
Yes.
anymore. And now she's there inspiring other people and consistently helping other people, because of course that is your job now.
Yes.
You are a coach, and you are a fitness coach as well as a nutrition coach, and there are people coming to you because they're inspired by
Yes.
you. So in the way that you were inspired by the women you'd seen on
Yes.
Instagram, you've become the woman on Instagram that people are inspired by.
It's God's grace.
6 years.
No, I've been 4 years.
4 years. I mean, this is a fast turnaround. Like
Yes.
when you put your mind to it,
Yes.
you do it quick.
Yes.
But the point being is that sadly, some people don't come back from the overdose.
Yes.
Be it that they mentally stay stuck,
Yes.
or be it that they actually end up taking their own
They're
life.
gone forever, yeah.
And I've been in that place, you've been in that place, and it's a difficult thing to describe to someone if you've never been there. In my case, whether I actually wanted to die or not is questionable. I go over that quite a lot in my own head, or whether there was just something that I needed to express to turn it around. I'll never fully know because I wasn't in my right mind.
Yes,
and I think that's the key here.
Yeah.
When I say the right mind, I mean I wasn't thinking with clarity.
Yes.
I was thinking from the desperate emotion that you explained yourself. And I think, again, it's not something I'm ashamed to talk about, because I've talked about it openly many times. The reason I think it's important to address that part is the determination that it takes to be hard on yourself is the same determination it takes to flip the coin and be 100%. A different version. Both versions, and I always talk about duality and polarity, because the reality is that you could be that person again, the negative loser that you named it as, not me. Or you can be the winner, the one that keeps getting that small win every day.
100%.
And the choice that you made there was coming from this identification that you didn't feel proud of yourself anymore, that you weren't fulfilling your purpose.
Yes.
Now, this is where it gets complicated for me. And I say this because I've worked with many, many people that have got severe depression, that have gone through lots of different life events that warrant them being in the darkest of places. And when we simplify things, which we must, by the way, systems must be simple, in my opinion.
100%.
But sometimes when you're simplifying something for someone who's in the depths of despair, and you break it down to, this is who you could be, suicidal, negative, no desire to live, but this is who you could be too. And they go, but how? How do I make that choice? Sometimes the choice comes from a higher self.
Yes.
It's not always a conscious thing.
Yes.
But it's also understanding patience. Now, although 4 years feels really, really quick, it doesn't feel quick if someone says to you, it's going to be 4 years before you feel amazing. Because obviously along the way, you're gaining the small wins.
Yes.
But if someone had said to you then it's going to take 4 years before you're sitting on podcasts, doing your interviews, going to events, earning good money, making this your purpose, 4 years feels big. So going back to those small wins each day, and I think this is where the really basic practices, which we often don't realise are really powerful.
Yes.
You know, those moments to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I remember this, I took some time off from training because I had various different injuries, and a bit like you said earlier, you take time off because you think your injuries are going to benefit. And actually, I think I used an excuse, because what ended up happening was I started to fill the time that I would train with other things. And then it was like, oh, my injury. And actually the reality was I wasn't managing time. So getting into that is a different story. But what I'm saying is that when you go to the small moments, the small wins, sometimes I would say, look, Ella, even if you just go to the gym and just do 10 minutes on the treadmill and leave, you've got into the gym.
Absolutely.
And that's a small win.
Yes.
Even if today you just make sure you eat breakfast, that's a small win.
100%.
And so, again, trying to articulate this well, for someone who's in the depths of despair, they might think, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go through that tiny baby step. I just want to be there now. Have you worked with women that have got that sort of impatience? Because you've
Yes.
mentioned it yourself, the perfection almost stops you from taking that foot forward, because I don't want to wait 4 years. I want to be there now. How do you manage that in yourself and in others?
See, before anybody signs up with me, I always like to have a consultation. I'll always want to have a feel of the person first.
Yeah.
And I straight away do make it very clear that we're talking about transformation here. There are no quick fixes. We're not chasing any smaller waste. You focus, if it's about changing your lifestyle, I am your go-to person.
Yeah.
I am the right person.
Yeah.
And we have that clear, conversation. And I think most of the women, those who come to me, they are over 40s. They are, most of them, they're mums. And I think they are chasing strength.
Yeah.
I don't remember even once, maybe one, hardly, if they want to lose weight, they want to lose better. But I think during the journey, the first week teaches them a lot, because where they're quantifying their food, they're trying to constantly nourish themselves with good food. I think they start seeing those benefits.
Yeah.
Mental clarity, more energy. But I think unless they don't do it, unless they don't feel it, you can't theoretically tell them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first few days, I always tell them, just be patient and just do it. Do that way. When they eat clean, they're making the effort to go to the gym, they start feeling better within themselves,
Yeah.
Especially with the food. They feel better, they, just recently there was a client, she's only into 4th week with me. And she goes, she had suffered with, because she's going through perimenopause at the moment. She goes, there was constant headaches.
Oh, yeah.
And rushing, they're gone. How? I said, and she has only lost about 1.5 kgs, but she has lost inches around her stomach.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Only because there was a lot of inflammation in her body.
Yeah.
So all these things, when they start seeing the benefits are far more than just chasing a smaller waist.
No, you're right.
They want to do more and more.
They need the energy
they
back.
understand that, oh my God, it's about feeling good within yourself.
Yes.
But then they start feeling it, then they want to do it more. And that's how I started.
Yeah.
I did not know what I was going into, but I wanted to feel, I think I was chasing strength at that time. I wanted to feel good within myself.
Yeah.
So that 1 week, then the second week, then those weeks was like, okay, every day I'm going to do better. Every day I'm going to do better. And that's where, that focus, that we're going to go back to that where people are saying, oh, there's a quick fix. There is no quick fix.
No.
I think the more brutally honest you are with yourself, you're only doing yourself a favor.
And what I'm hearing, and we said this briefly before we started actually, is remove the bigger expectation.
Yes.
Remove the idea. I mean, you have to have...
You have to have a bigger goal.
You have to have a bigger goal.
But break it down into what's under your control right now in this moment.
Yeah.
And that's what took me a long time to understand.
Yes. Remove it. So actually, on that note of goals, because I often say to people, try not to think of this as a goal, because a goal is slightly more limited.
Yes.
Think of it as an intention.
100%.
So you said there, a lot of women come because they intend to be stronger.
Yes.
And when you've got the intention, I want to be stronger every day.
Yes.
That's a daily mantra, isn't it?
Yes.
I want to be fitter. I want to be stronger. I want to have clarity of mind.
Yes.
I want to get rid of these headaches, whatever it is. When your mantra is that simple, going back to the simplistic, I want to be stronger. That means that when you fully master this handstand, then you're going to want to do it in a way that's even stronger than before.
100%.
The goal is never
It's never
complete.
ending.
Yes.
It's never and that's the beauty of life.
Yeah.
You can give limitless goals, but only one major goal at a time.
Yeah.
There does come a moment where even I get overstimulated by, I want to do that. I want to do this.
Yeah.
But then again, it's the conscious and the intent behind decluttering everything, and then again bring back your focus to what is more important to you right now in this moment. Yeah. And Ella, it's a daily effort.
Yes.
And I hope people understand that it's a daily effort to stay positive. It's a daily, responsibility to feed yourself with good thoughts, because your brain doesn't know what's good or right or wrong.
Yeah.
Your brain only knows what you tell your brain. And for the longest time, I've been telling the wrong things to my brain, that I'm worthless, I'm not good enough, I'm not confident enough, all the worst things. And my brain believed in them.
There's a very important question here, because we go back to when I'm working with a client. So if you'd been my patient, my client, and you were sitting in front of me, one of the first things we do is we do the history and we look at the childhood. And as you
Yes.
said, it was a very beautiful childhood, and you came here and that's when the decline happened. Not necessarily because you came here, but because life started to be complicated
Absolutely.
and difficult. You'd lost your independence.
Yes.
You started to feel more anxious. So then the next question, if someone had got the same story, I'd say, well, that makes sense because that's a change.
Yes.
You did mention that there was some postpartum issues as
Yes.
well. And so on those notes, one of the other things I always ask girls, if they've got no obvious reason for generalized anxiety or they've got no reason for sort of being depressed, no big life events, what are your periods like?
Yes.
That's the first question I
Yes.
ask. How are you a week and a half before your period's due?
Yes.
Those sorts of questions. What's your diet like?
Yeah.
What are your relationships like? All of those really important questions. Now, on the note of the PCOS, the postpartum,
Yes.
all of this is hormonal stuff.
Yes. 100%.
And I think it's really important to go into this a little bit more because a lot of people haven't got
Yes.
PCOS or hormonal issues. They've had fairly simple hormonal experiences, let's say, but then they might be heading towards menopause, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
we know that suicide is highest in women after 50 because menopause kicks in, everything changes, even if they've been relatively fine and dandy before that point. So we know there's something going on with the hormones, and we mustn't ignore that part of your story because the depths of depression, the heightened anxiety was down to this hormonal imbalance. Importantly, what we spoke about earlier, and I think what's really important to say here is, and as you've covered it to a very large degree already, the nutrition really changed that for you.
Yes, it does.
The
It
food
did.
really changed the
changed.
hormonal systems.
Yes. I was chasing every new trending cosmetic skincare.
Yeah.
Everything, again, simplicity. Everything is now simplified for me. Simple things, simple food, but it's nourishing yourself from within. That
Yes.
is, and honestly, you don't need any magic or trending food, just simple, staple food. And it changed everything for me.
What's
my
your
mind, my
diet?
body.
What's your diet? Because I'm not suggesting people copy you. 'Cause
No,
I hate
no,
that.
no. I
hate that.
would highly recommend, especially women, those who they're about to navigate perimenopause or they're going through menopause. And I know people are screaming about it, but I think probably over screaming about protein.
I know. Yeah, big thing.
But it is a big thing. Since I have upped my protein, the energy levels, the insulin sensitivities come back. So my protein, my breakfast, I'd never skip breakfast. And I know there are a lot of women come to me, oh, can we just skip our breakfast? I said, no, you cannot unless you're okay with 2 big meals. But skipping breakfast means you are actually inviting those fluctuations
That's right.
in your glucose levels because it's not one food that's causing it. It's you're not eating. So your breakfast has to have minimum of 25 to 30 grams of protein. So normally I would have my breakfast with either 7 to 8 egg whites and 1 whole egg.
Yeah.
So that gives me good portion of protein and maybe a 1 higher protein pancake.
Yeah.
So normally my breakfast would give me about 45 grams of protein.
Amazing.
And I'm satiated for good 3 to 4 hours.
And focused.
Oh,
Mentally
yeah.
focused.
Mentally focused. Because balanced meals, your carbs, you need your carbs. And I don't like demonizing any food. So you need your carbs, you need your fiber, you need your colorful veggies. It's not one vegetable that's a magic food.
It's the mix again.
It's the mix. It's the colorful. As many colors as possible.
Yeah.
And then again, my lunch would be either rice or definitely rice or pasta.
Yeah.
I know people think, oh my God, you should not have pasta. No, it's absolutely fine. It's all about just balancing it. Carbs needs to be balanced with fats and protein.
Yes.
So my rice, chicken and vegetables. And meal prep is key here.
Being prepared, like you say.
Absolutely. Because if your lunch, especially your lunches, and I always tell my mentees as well, I don't know, you can go do your breakfast and your dinner as you go along. That's absolutely fine. But your lunches needs to be ready because that is where you reach out for wrong things.
True.
When your lunches are not ready. If you're working from home or you're going to work, your lunches needs to be packed and ready. If you're in a meeting, you can eat your food. Even if you're running around, you can, have your food ready.
Yeah.
And then again, dinner, chicken curry or my Indian food or grilled food.
Yeah.
I'm a non-vegetarian, so it's easier for me to source my protein through food.
Although
But
you can do that through legumes, you can do that through tofu, you can do that through lots of different ways.
But see, the thing is, people where they go wrong is by looking for more recipes. Don't do that.
And Instagram's terrible for that. They've got all these trends.
All you need to do is just simply understand the sources remain the same.
Yeah.
Your tofu will remain the same. The cheese will remain the same. You know, the chicken will remain the same. However you cook it, that's your choice.
Yeah.
But don't chase every new recipe, because you need to do, and especially for mums, busy mums, you need to cook. You can't be cooking separate for yourself and separate for your family, because God, we've got a lot on our plate anyway.
Oh my gosh.
That's the last thing you would
Well,
want to do.
you're not a chef, are you?
No.
You're a mum.
So you need to learn that whatever you're cooking for the family, you just tweak a little bit to serve your goals. That's all. And that is the beauty of my coaching as well, where I just teach them we don't need to overcomplicate things. Social media is already doing it. We just need to simplify it so that you have more time to do. Before, Ella, funny enough, before my transformation, most of my time used to go thinking about either in the kitchen or thinking about food or job. The box, that was my life.
Yeah.
Now people think, how are you managing got busy life? Time management.
Yeah.
Meal prep.
Yeah.
Meal prep is key. You have to manage your time like
it's
this.
so important. You know, I had many episodes ago now, right at the beginning. So I've been doing it for 2.5 years, this podcast. So actually more than that now. But a guy was on, and he was a fitness coach. They did bodybuilding and all this stuff. And he spoke about the 24 hours.
Yes.
Rather than looking at it as, well, I get up at 7 and I, go to sleep at 10 or whatever. He would say, well, everyone's got the same 24 hours. And you can tell yourself you're too busy, and I'm probably guilty of this, although I am actually very busy, but there is a space.
There's always.
And you have to manage that. Yes. You have to section that time
But
off.
it comes with you got to make sure what's important. And if it's a priority, your other priorities go down.
That's right. And also, it's that we spoke about this before. Your husband's here, for people that don't know. He's in the other room.
He's always with me.
He's always there. But we all discussed it with the importance of discipline.
Yes.
Because motivation, especially for those that have very fast metabolization of dopamine, or for whatever reasons their neurotransmitters aren't working in harmony as yet, motivation isn't what we can rely on. We have to have the simple system and the structure. I'm going to ask you another question there, though, because it's just popped into my head. It's not really a question. As I said to you off camera, I'm launching, and I think actually by the time your episode goes out, it will have been launched, Novus DNA, my wellness brand, supplement brand. And as part of that journey, many different reasons for doing it, including my own health, my daughter's health, but also just became fascinated with the over-information. Yes. There's so much information, and actually the bioavailability of a lot of supplements is very, very low. But because you've been told magnesium, vitamin D, creatine, whatever, you go and buy it, but you're not necessarily buying tested products. You're not taking products that are high in bioavailability, so you're not able to absorb them properly. Your diet's not correct either. So actually, are you taking these supplements instead of eating properly? So the education around that needs to change. But one of the things that I learned, and I'm really glad I learned this, was that lots of people talk about cold water therapy. Lots of people talk about fasting. Now, for women, it's very different, because our hormonal system is different from a man. And actually, women fasting, I believe, and I'd like your take on this as well, can actually create a rise in cortisol, which, if you're in an inflamed state anyway, the rise in cortisol creates more inflammation, which makes you feel more tired, more chronic pain, messes with your hormones. So actually, what's your opinion on female fasting?
To be honest, I don't believe in any sort of diet.
Yeah.
Be intermittent fasting or keto. You just need to feed your body, at least, for breakfast is quite important, as I said, and I'm a breakfast person. If someone tells me that I have to fast, it would be very difficult because I love my breakfast. That's my time with myself. So, end of the day, it all goes down to your balanced meals.
Yes.
And if someone is on a fat loss journey, the calorie deficit, that matters.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter, even if you are fasting, but what happens in the rest of the day?
Yeah.
If your food is still crap.
Yeah.
If you're still overeating.
Yeah.
the body is going to respond to the food the extra food, the extra calories, and the food with less nutrients. The body is going to respond to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's again comes down to the balanced meals.
Yeah.
And especially for women, because with I can probably talk about me, that if my cortisol levels were already high, by not having breakfast, I'm only disrupting my hormones more.
That's right.
And
That's right.
what happens is when your hormones are imbalanced, your hunger hormone goes up.
Yeah.
You're reaching out for wrong things, right? The whole point is to actually nurture, nourish your body with the right food so that your insulin levels, they're regulated.
Yeah.
Because your body is very clever. Your body would know, okay, this is the time I'm going to be fed now. But when you're feeding on all those odd times, your body responds that way then.
You talking about insulin, it's another big topic that I wanted to discuss with you, because I agree, by the way.
Yes.
Balanced foods, really important. And I know fasting works for men because, again, their hormonal system is different.
It's different. It's absolutely different.
They do benefit more from things like cold water and fasting because, again, different responses. But I still believe that a balanced diet is more maintainable
100%.
than any fad.
Yes.
Although some people love fasting, I'm not knocking that, but I think it's
if it
important
works
to know.
for them, yeah.
Correct.
If it works for them.
And I think the next question, you talked about the insulin balance. Well, that brings into another big craze. You'll know what I'm going to say.
I know.
We know that the likes of Ozempic,
Yes.
Wegovy, Mounjaro, GLP-1s, all of these, they are so popular right now because it helps to slow down the hunger.
The hunger, yeah.
The dopamine response, because GLP-1 is an agonist, isn't it, that attaches to dopamine as far as I'm aware. And the stomach emptying slows down, but it also has this balancing response with insulin because everything's slowed down as far as I'm aware. My problem with it is this. If someone is diabetic, of course, that's what the medication's for. If someone is morbidly obese and genuinely doesn't have the money, or although this stuff is expensive from what I hear, but the money or anything else, I'm not saying that, and I'm not judging anyone, but my concern is this. There's a lot of women who don't need to take it that are taking it. They're not doing the balanced meals.
Yes. And I can tell you I know somebody who's actually
Please
done
talk
it.
about this.
I'm not going to name the lady, but I know her very closely. And she was on Ozempic first, I think, and then it did not suit her because it was making her sick all the time,
Right.
especially for the first few hours in the morning. And then she was just not feeling great because always that feeling of being sick, that
nauseous.
sourness. And absolutely. Then after a few months, she was switched to Mounjaro. The weight loss is there, yes, but she's not feeling great.
Yeah.
When she eats food, she's not enjoying the food.
Mm-hmm.
She's just literally forcing herself to eat the food. Even she's not enjoying her meals with the family because, when you're not feeling hungry, but you're just eating the food.
Yeah.
It's because food is emotions. For me, food is everything.
It's art.
Absolutely. And then now she had been, not now, but a couple of months ago, she had been having this diarrhea on and off. She's never had that before. So, and she's never been, off from work or anything like that. So she has been having this diarrhea on and off, maybe a couple of times, then 2 weeks she's fine, then again, bad diarrhea. And then she's had kidney infections as well and some infection to her pancreas.
No.
So again, when she looks at herself, she doesn't feel great because she's losing that muscle mass. The body's gone flat, Does that make...
Yeah,
I understand where you come.
Because when you lose fat too quickly, you actually lose muscle first, don't you?
100%. So she's gone all flat. She doesn't feel good about herself. And now she stopped taking the injections. And now she's convinced that a healthy lifestyle cannot be replaced with anything. I understand people, those who are overly obese and they have that mobility issue.
Of course, because you can't move.
It's fine to do it, but only done alongside your food,
yes,
your lifestyle, even
a coach.
And some weight training, something to retain that muscle mass, right? But imagine if you stop taking those injections.
Well, what's going to happen? Because you've got no education now.
Yes, and you don't know the side effects at this stage. And again, your body was always meant, you were supposed to move your body.
Yeah.
You know?
And trust your body.
I know, because we are already leading a sedentary lifestyle,
Yeah.
making things worse.
Yeah.
By taking these injections, we're only allowing ourselves to have those short-term pleasures, but the long-term, we don't know yet.
And where does it end?
That's the
Because
thing.
say you're somebody that's lost 6 stone. And then, okay, I'm going to have to stop taking it because I've been on it for 2 years.
Yeah.
What now? Okay, I can eat a bit better, but the food noise is coming back. And I can't deal with that because I'm used to it not being there. So I've got no tolerance to this food noise. And I've lost a lot of muscle. And so I'm not strong. So you've got to start the journey anyway.
Yeah.
So you may as well cut that bit out if you can.
Because it's about, losing weight is one thing, but if you do it the right way, it's about you're growing stronger. You cannot. Where are you going to get that strength from then?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but when I was in my 20s, so a long time ago, I was 8 stone heavier than I am now. So I lost all of that weight before there was any tricks of the trade.
Yes.
And it just started with changing my food.
Yeah.
But the bit that I didn't do straight away because I was so overweight was exercise. So I started to walk every day.
Yeah, walking is great.
It's great.
It's
in fact,
great.
for fat loss,
Yes.
it's better.
I do want to emphasize on one thing, I think, before I forget. Because of PCOS and because of I was navigating perimenopause, I thought that, where high intensity workouts were trending, I was doing the same.
Yeah.
But I did not realize that because of my raised cortisol levels,
Of course.
and osteopenia, my bone density is already low.
Yeah.
I'm doing burpees, high intensity
Yeah.
workouts, and it only injured me further.
I know. And that's
I
why
was
I say
left
it.
with hip bursitis. I was left with, really bad back pain and knees. My knees started, I don't know.
Inflammation.
Yeah. And I didn't realize none of that
Yeah.
at that time. But now when I look back, I'm thinking, oh my God. And now when people ask me, it must be a lot of hard work to your transformation. I said, no,
Yeah.
I wish I had known all that before,
Yeah.
which I did not have to go through all that. Simple moves, simple food. Walking is such a powerful tool.
It is. And do you know what? It's funny because I would walk everywhere.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved it because, again, I said to you earlier, go back to that point of mindfulness. That's where I was able to achieve
So
a meditation.
amazing for mental health.
Yeah. So I think that's a really powerful place for people to start that are wanting to lose weight, because my understanding is with running, which I loved, by the way, this is how I got injured with my knee. I loved running. I was a huge, huge running fan. But it ups the cortisol.
Yes.
And you end up with injuries. And not only that, for me, I didn't lose weight doing that. I got great cardiovascular health,
Yes.
but it didn't actually make me lose weight. In fact, I started to put weight on. So I believe, and I'm sure you can confirm, that walking actually, if you do incline walking, you'll burn more, especially on the treadmills. If you do the incline on the treadmill, you can burn, or the Stairmaster, you can actually burn more calories doing that than you would going on a run. Does it depend on the person?
I don't really see. The thing is, I know there's a lot of things on social media where we're trying to really emphasize this is good, or this is good, or this is better than that. I think people really need to just
Find their love.
find what works for them.
Yeah.
People, those who have their jobs or their physical, like they're quite active throughout the day.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty much okay with their steps if they can push their steps to 10K to 12K through their, whatever activities they're doing. They're good. They can start with a diet and 3 to 4 times of weight training. They're good enough. But people, those who are sedentary lifestyle, they have long hours, desk jobs, they struggle.
Yes.
And for them, yes, you try walk as much as wherever you can. It's again conscious effort.
Yes.
It's conscious living.
Yeah.
You have to make those conscious choices that, okay, if I can walk to the station, do so.
Yeah.
Every opportunity that gives you to walk. But yes, if your steps, you are still struggling throughout the week, because it's not one day of walking.
That's right.
It's your 7 days.
Yes.
That determines if there's going to be any weight loss or not. If you're struggling, then maybe, in the gym, you can do 2 to 3 sessions of cardio, which could be maybe like short intervals, run and walk, or people, those who are struggling with knee pain, maybe then they can do incline walk, because then you bring your heart rate up, it burns more calories. But end of the day, people must understand weight loss, which I don't like to use the word, fat loss will only happen if you are in calorie deficit.
Yes, that's true.
And if that deficit is not there, and people, what they do is they try to create that deficit through food. Yes, it works for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but after that, you're going to reach that plateau.
Yeah.
Because your body needs that movement.
Yeah.
We need to repair that, metabolism.
Yeah.
So body needs that movement. So for some people, if walking, they love walking, please do so. If people, they love running, but make sure they're doing strength training.
Yes.
To back it up, because if you don't have that strength, you're going to struggle.
And you're going to get injured.
Absolutely. So again, weight training, strength training is super important. If you can do 10 minutes, which sometimes if I struggle throughout the week to get my steps in, then maybe twice a week, I'll just jump on the treadmill, do 1 minute of running. Then I stop, then 1 minute of running for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Good enough.
I love that answer. Because again, it debunks a lot of the do this, do that. I know
it's a lot of noise. And I'm so glad when I started my transformation, Ella, I did not listen to any of that, because I was not on social media. And I'm not saying people, because my life changed because of social media. So it's a blessing in disguise. It's up to a person what you want to take from there, right?
That's the truth. It's your algorithm. If you've got a terrible algorithm, it's because of what you're looking at.
Whatever you're looking for.
Redirect.
100%. So again, but I did not look for any information, because I had a diet plan from my coach. And I just followed it through, because for me, it's not about questioning. It's about, okay, this is being given. And I've always been like that. If someone gives me instructions, I'm good to follow it through.
Yes.
So followed it through, do the meal prep, ate, saw some results, and I carried on.
Love that.
But that you need to block those noises. And especially nowadays, social media, you don't know. I just feel for people, those who are actually, buying into all those trending things. And my heart goes for them, because I really want to tell them the things are just around you.
Yeah.
But you're not looking there. You're choosing to look away at something else.
It's just avoidance, though. And we said earlier as well, didn't we, when we were talking, that actually social media is seduction.
Yes.
But it's conning you.
Yes.
It's conning you. It's keeping you in a loop of dopamine, excitement. And actually, like you say, if you just look in front of you, the answers are there. In fact, if you just go within, the answers are there.
Yes.
But actually, we need people like you that sort of debunk a lot of the myths, that are willing to be vulnerable, that have done the work, that have been in the worst places, that have focused their attention, simplified it, created the system, now teaching other people to do the same. And I think we said earlier, and I think this is so important to remind everybody, when you go to see a coach, a therapist, a mentor, whatever it is, that person needs to really have the right frequency. They have to have walked in a similar shoes to you. They have to have been there, done that, and got that t-shirt themselves, because actually it's the experience and it's the genuine, authentic response that you're going to need. You could listen to many, many people selling you many, many ideas, and that's fine. But it's noisy, it's confusing, and it's the ones that have achieved those goals themselves, like yourself, that are still every single day making those small choices, making those wins. It's those people that actually are going to understand all of those pitfalls, all of the road bumps, all of the moments where you want to collapse and give up, but also the person that's going to have the right frequency to keep you on it.
Yes.
How can people find you if they want to, by the way?
I am on Instagram.
Yes.
So it's Rajni _Singh.official. So I am on Instagram, and also my website, which is rajnihealthandfitness.com. And I think these are the two ways they can find me. Yeah.
You've got a great Instagram page. It is inspirational. And I think what I know is that you've spoken many times. Today, I feel like you really owed it to yourself to free yourself from, not that you should have ever been ashamed of it in the first place, but to free yourself from something you've held inside. Because as a mother, as a coach, as a wife, as a friend, as a human, I feel it's our duty that when we've gone through great pain, to share it in a way that's allowing other people to go within themselves.
Yes.
And I feel like where you got to today, when you started to talk about that pain, that moment, you could see in your face that it was painful for you to do that. But I know that you've done it for the right reasons. And I know that there'll be many women that already know you, and many women that don't know you, that will be profoundly moved by not only that part of your story, but by the way that you are today, the positive energy that you exude. What are the sort of things that you would like to leave the audience with as a kind of, if they are in the place that you were for their own reasons, doesn't have to be the same story, obviously.
No, of course, because everybody's got their own unique stories, you know, but they just need to find strength.
Yeah. What's one thing, if it was your sister, your best friend, someone you loved, what would you say to them if they were in that place?
See, if someone asks me, and they do ask me that what keeps me motivated, and as I think now I have so much clarity in saying that I'm doing it all for my younger self, that young girl, you know, who did not, it took her a long time to believe in herself, and, you know, but she chose not to give up. And the woman who exists today, I'm just going to cry again.
Aww.
She only exists because of her resilience and her courage. And yes, you know, you need to take that first courageous step, that small step. You don't need to figure anything out at that moment when you take the first step, you know. Just have that faith. You know, I think sometimes you just need to surrender yourself. And it's very, very important. And I think I did because I wanted to make her proud. I wanted, and as I said, that, you know, the more and more mental clarity I'm building, my first person that comes in my mind that I'm doing everything for is that young girl.
Can I ask a question on this? Because it's really, and we'll wrap up at this point, because I think it's actually a really beautiful way to end, because it's kind of where we started. Do you feel, when you speak of her, because you say she had that courage and that resilience, do you feel that when you went to the darkest of places that you betrayed that version of yourself? Yes. Is that what it was?
Yeah, because as far as I remember, you know, the young girl, I was always, she was pure. She was so connected with her spirit. As I said, that I was always creative. I was always in my own mind, in my own world. And no one ever bothered me. And I was just growing, you know, with a lot of, I don't know, I would say I was very high-spirited. And I think I do want to emphasize on one thing, that another thing that's keep me going and keeps me pushing forward, because when I was going through that dark time, you know, the anxiety, I don't know, people might be able to relate to that, because when you're going through anxiety and panic attacks, your heart is always sinking.
Yeah.
But the moment I've been into this transitional sort of journey, you know, the higher self that we spoke about, you know, I don't know how to describe, maybe you can explain it better, but I can only tell you the experience that I feel, that being in my higher self, I'm always chasing that. And what that means for me is, in a layperson's language, is that my soul needs to be higher than my heart.
Yes.
That's the experience I feel. And the moment any conversation, any person, you know, negativity is always there, Ella. You cannot run away from negativity. But the only thing that is protecting me and my energy is that the moment I feel that my soul is even coming down to my heart level, I become very alert.
Yeah.
And that's where I bring every focus and energy to not let that happen, because I have fallen apart before and I don't want to do that again. And also I want to add one important bit before we wrap up, for moms out there, that if you don't know your reason why you want to change, do it for your kids.
Yeah.
And I could see when I was becoming a smaller, shrunken version, I could see my daughter was becoming a very low confident person. And the more and more I'm flourishing, it's like a ripple effect.
Yes.
You know, it bounces back. When I was feeling miserable, I was giving that energy to everybody, and it was affecting my relationships. But the moment I am in my higher zone, in my higher energy, that shows up as well.
It does.
Yes.
And it's frequency. It's what we said before about frequency and energy.
Your relationships, your everything. And you start having that clarity that what matters, you keep it, and what doesn't matter, you keep it away.
It's choosing. It's what we said before.
Yeah.
Before we do finish, just to explain to people about the heavy heart, because I think you've made a really important point. For those that haven't experienced overwhelming anxiety. I mean, we use the word anxiety too much, I think, because actually panic attacks and anxiety where you feel like your heart is sinking and you feel like you can't catch your breath and you're constantly in a state of fear, because that's what panic is.
You just feel
fear.
like someone is just pulling down your soul and you feel that. And I've been feeling that for many years and I hated that feeling.
Of course. And again, it's not something you can really describe. You have to have had that experience to really fully understand. But when we talk about the heart, we talk about unexpressed emotions, we talk about grief, we talk about loss. And the reason I think it's really important to say that is because you lost the connection to that higher spirited younger version, the one you spoke about. You lost that connection to it because fear took over. The fear of not being enough, the fear of not fitting in, the fear of letting people down. All of those things that you had, which it sounds like you had freedom and peace and connection to creativity and the things that bring you joy. When you came to this country, all for the right reasons, things changed so dramatically that you lost that part of yourself. And I think it was grief. I think the grief of losing that simplicity, losing that connection. And then what happened was the hormones as well. So this is where we say it's always holistic. So when your heart was sinking, I think it was because your body was trying to say to you, you're coming away from the higher self. And actually, when you started to follow that simple system and you started to focus on one step at a time, one small win at a time, you started to reconnect to the higher self, which was the inner child. And that betrayal that we spoke briefly about there, you never betrayed her. You didn't betray her. You became disconnected and you didn't know why. But as we go back through your story, it's clear why, plus the hormones. There was lots of different sequences of events that just meant that the disconnection happened, but it wasn't your fault. And the greatest thing about your story, and I know this is hard because it's still very emotional for you, is that you never gave up. And that's the power of the human spirit. That's the power of the higher spirit. That's the power of the higher self, that resilience, that determination and that courage. And you embody that. And I think it's really important for everyone listening to know that it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter where you're from, 100%. Who you are. You can go to the lowest of the low, but you can also fight. You can also get back up. You are that story. And there's going to be so many people that are moved by this vulnerability. The power of who you are is you are multifaceted. You are like a diamond. There's so many different facets. You are all of it. And there's no shame in any of it. And we need to celebrate the whole diamond, not just the shiny bits. So I want to thank you for that vulnerability. It's been really powerful.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It really, really means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us. It means a lot to everybody. I know it will. Well done.